called the Big Book. Because it captures something that really is an essence of non-duality. Yeah. Not directly, but it's an essence of it. So I'll give it a minute or two. So people are pulling up and stuff. The bus took a detour, and then instead of the casino, they brought them here. Yeah. We got to get drinks ready. They're going to be very disappointed. How are you? All right? We weren't going to have it in the garage. It would have been freaking cold.
Extra jacket.
No,
Yeah, me too.
no, we decided not to torture you that way. So let me just give a little background. Rob, you better be here now that I'm going to do this. In recovery, for many people, this is what they discern from the book and their own experience. They're led to believe that there's something foreign to them is what has defeated them. Yes, something, we use the term parasitical activity. Some people call it possession, demonic intelligence, but there's something that has taken us over, and it's a shared event. So that's something that has taken all these different people over, is the same something. Yeah. It doesn't change into a different thing by being in a different person. It's the same thing. And then the people start, if you're under that effect of alcoholism, you can recognize someone else who's under that effect, even though they probably don't recognize it themselves. Yeah. So as soon as you see them and they start talking, because what's talking is alcoholism. The person isn't talking. The person's ability to talk is being hijacked, and he talks from alcoholism. And you've heard these thoughts in your head, and you've heard them come out of your mouth, and you know it, and you're like, and basically they may go into 20 different reasons why they're screwed, but you know the real reason is they have untreated active alcoholism. It's just that simple. And then after a while, you get sort of impatient with it because they want to go, well, I need to get some money, I do that. But the real problem isn't the money and stuff. It's this elephant in the room, which is active alcoholism or active addiction. And it really, in a sense, takes one to know one. This is a dominant part of recovery, is that recovery is really based on one alcoholic helping another, because they realize, like, professionals or experts didn't matter. What a person suffering from alcoholism was more apt to hear it from another alcoholic than a psychiatrist or a scientist or clergyman. Yeah. So it was very important that's very, very important that we needed recovered alcoholics, actually, so that we wouldn't all be insane at the same time on the same day. So when someone was completely crazy, you weren't. Yeah. And maybe you could be you could be actually of great service to those people. Yeah. Yeah. Just by being sober. So, and they said the problem resides in the mind, and the idea of duality really resides in the mind. Yeah. So the problem, in a lot of ways, when we're looking at it through non-duality, the problem demonstrates in a movement that's dualistic in nature, but you don't know it. So without knowing it, your moving towards things is really a moving away from something. So there's something you may not want to know, or you're just, so then you get totally involved to go towards something to actually try to get away from something. So you'll always see this movement of dualism or duality. Yeah, this is how it works. So just like you have great intentions, but there's always unintended consequences. So you do something that looks like, in other words, and in times where if you are available to someone, it can be very helpful. And other times when you're available to someone, it's a disservice because you're helping the person is keeping them from their bottom. So it can vary, it can change. There's no rote way to do anything. Yeah, it's a touchy feely thing, really. You're in a moment and then you're guided in that moment. So sometimes, like we just, you have someone and you see that they're very occupied by a lot of stuff, but they're occupied by the addiction. Yeah. So, yeah, you cut right to the chase. And then when they start going off on the tangents, you just, look right at them and just say, hey, you're fucked. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah. So these things, uh, so one of the ways they tried to offer relief from this, and the same thing with non-duality, is by seeing what you're not. Yeah, which is the essence of the message of non-duality is a negation of what is assumed to be true by what is true. So instead of looking at what we're looking from, we see what we're looking from what we are. Yeah. So from there, there's a truth that is told, yeah, about what's not true. And in that state, that with the truth told about what's not true is a negation. Yeah. So the idea that you're something that you're not, when seen, there's a negation as that something as you. Yeah. So you're finally seeing it, let's say, from awareness or whatever. And you're having this free sample, and it's obvious for maybe the first time ever since you were a young kid that that's not me. Yeah. So the whole basis is a negation of what has been taken to be true. That's all it is. It's not replacing anything. It's not like, oh, that's not true, but I'm going to make it true. That's not true, but it could be true if I work hard. No, there's just a recognition, and usually you'll see the results by a migration of interest and attention. There has been such a steady interest and attention in you, you can't see the difference. Yes. When there's a loss of interest, you realize, you truly see how interested there was, how much interest there was in you. When you're constantly in a high level of interest, it's not noticed. You're walking around thinking this is the way it is, that everything I see as how it pertains to me that I'm not. Without a comparison, you think that's the way it goes. So when the real message is a relief from the problem, when you get the relief from the problem, that's the real message. The message may be have an envelope it's put in for you to be invited, like a meeting or an understanding, but the real message is relief from it. Yeah, relief from the bondage of self. Yeah, so basically the potentiality of seeing life as a verb from a verb is regained in a sense, because most of us are seeing a verbal life from a noun. Yeah. And it has to do a lot of work to make sense out of it, but it doesn't really make fucking sense. When you have a little kid in front of you and he wants to play and you're occupied by your head about yesterday and tomorrow, the kid's like, what the hell? It's out sunny outside, let's go. And you're, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the kid does no, yeah. But that sense of kidness has gone long ago, and we've had a steady stream of interest and attention. Yeah. Maybe we lose interest in something out there, but there's very rarely a loss of interest in you. Yeah. When you sleep, you get a break. When you get into a zone, like when you're playing or surfing or maybe having sex or at a comedy club, you forget yourself, and then there's a relief. But basically, if that thing is kept in a steady pump, you don't know. You don't know it as a condition. It's just the way it is. So when I saw this happened when I was about 6 or 7. Yeah, I'm just going to go this way today. And it's going to mix into this. This is not absolute non-duality. Yeah, this is going to mix into action figure, this and that. So I got sober in 1988, and I was struck sober, which is was was and still is a miracle. So the contrast, there was going to be no contrast if I would have gotten loaded a half hour later, but I haven't gotten loaded for 37 years. So it's a very big contrast, the moment before and then what happened after. And what happened after, the miracle occurred, and it probably would have died on the vine in a day or two, but there was something said about a train of circumstances that brought me into a recovery meeting that night, and I've been in that community for 37 years. So the way of life extended the miracle. The way of life, in my case, did not produce the miracle. The miracle was produced, whacked, and then I needed a way of life. So I did not get sober through AA. I got struck sober, and I stay sober through AA. It's different though, very different. Yeah. So the problem resides in the mind, and about 6 or 7 years into it, we use the word self, but in a small s way, not like Ramana, the large S, meaning everything and all things, but a small s, which represents the long-lasting, independent, separate entity. We call it an action figure. Yeah. So what's moving and interfacing with everything is an action figure. And obviously the language says the action figure is you, so you think you are interfacing and moving with everything, but you're not actually. The action figure is in contact, and that contact becomes conscious, not by the action figure. Consciousness becomes conscious of a contact. So life triggers, and now you're seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, and there's a consciousness of that. In other words, there's an awakeness of that. Yeah. Doesn't have to be that high or low, but it's there. Yeah. All right. So I'm reading this book right here, because I had the privilege of leading a workshop on one of the most important steps of the program, the fourth step, and comes out of a chapter called How It Works. So I was reading this chapter, and I had read it many, many times in the 6 years prior to this. Yeah, around that time. And yet this one night I read it, and it says, first, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. Now, flaws, F-L-A-W-S, not F-L-O-O-R-S. Yeah. So obviously, when you read this, if you're occupied by the head, you believe flaws in your makeup are your flaws. But it's not saying that. It's saying flaws in your makeup. It doesn't say your flaws in your makeup. It's so something is appearing in your makeup that's foreign to you. Yeah, in a way. And so it goes, first, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. All right. Pretty important. Try to tell the truth about how and how you're getting defeated and by what. It's pretty important, really, if things are going to change. And then it goes, being convinced, and being convinced is very important in the program of recovery. And being convinced, I read it once, means one of them means to believe with certainty. So you have come to a point where you believe with certainty something has defeated me. Yeah. Now, most people believe it's me, them. Yeah. But they're going to make a very clear distinction. It ain't you, which is beautiful, because this is what happened with me. It says being convinced that self, yes. Okay, so this small s self. And when I read this one time, and I read it hundreds of times, I saw self as foreign to me. I was given that vision. Yeah, it was a sense feltness. I finally had some distance between it and me. Yeah, forget about the ego. What has an ego and what wants to lose an ego is the sense of self. The ego isn't important, really. It's the sense of self that owns and wants to disown an ego. That's the bondage. Yeah. Yeah. So ego to me is like a goose chase. It's taking you from the real point, humbly. So first, we search out the flaws in our makeup, which cause our failures. Being convinced, all right? So I look at resentments and the fear I lived under every day and what I would do to people to get what I wanted. Yeah. and tons of examples of that. I looked at that finally with some kind of honesty, and I realized those things are how something defeated me. Resentment, festering, trying to thinking about someone and the revenge you wanted to committed when they weren't thinking about you at all. You know what I mean? Just constantly think, just insane shit. So I was convinced that self manifested in these various ways. And there's more than just resentment, fear, and harm done to others in the pursuit of what you think you want. Yeah. There's many more, but these are the common ones. And these are manifestations or flaws in my makeup that are not mine. They're manifestations through me, but they're not mine. And this is where a lot of people in recovery have a very difficult time. They start recognizing the manifestations that defeated them, but they keep calling them theirs. Yeah. So what the vision of that could produce gets stifled because you own it. You believe, oh, I'm the one who's in fear. I'm the one who resents. I'm the one who stepped on everyone's toes. Yes. And on one level of judgehood in the world, yes, you've got to be responsible, but really accountable. But you were not that did it. You were used for something to do it through you. Yeah. So something took you over and expressed its manifestations through you. And right now, after you experience all the effects of those manifestations, you're still calling them yours. This is the bondage. This is the bondage of self. Yeah. It's same thing in non-duality, but in a subtler way. Yeah. There's a lot of mental and physical processes that the head in the language will just constantly, repeatedly, in a very innocent, nonchalant way, claim. Yeah, that you're the one doing, thinking, you're the one hearing, you're the one this, and you're not. Yeah, non-duality is a negation of that ownership. That's what it is. It's negating it. It's like Buddha exclaims it perfectly. Events happen, deeds are done, but there's no individual doer thereof. Disclaiming of the ownership. Events happen, deeds are done. Definitely. They may even be deeds that seem to be done through you, but there is no individual doer thereof. And there's no exemptions. It doesn't say go to page 84 and see all the times when you really are the doer. No, there's a statement, clear statement from supposedly the great master of, Gautama Buddha, and that is events happen. This here, oh, nothing's going on. Of course, shit's going on. Events are happening, deeds are being done constantly, but there is no individual doer thereof. Yeah, period. That's one of the basis of non-duality understanding. They're not arguing with events. That's moral business, to go to different events, go to different whatever. Yeah. But this is the fact that there is no individual doer thereof. So I saw that as self brought out. It just was incredible, really. Because uh, so much was going on that I didn't know in the first 7 years of recovery, which is it's captured by a statement, self trying to get out of self. I started my day from the act of being identified as self. I did not see any option. There was a lot of options I thought I had in the day, but there was no option not to be Paul. I was Paul, yeah. And then Paul tried to use whatever he was involved with to get out of Paul, really. So self was trying to get out of self, and it fails. And of course, when it fails, self blames itself. See, it's always about you, and it ain't about you. So when you fail, maybe it's because what you're relying on is a failed system. You very rarely get to that quickly. You maybe get that after years of spiritual practices where every time anything didn't work, you blamed you, or I was with the wrong teacher, or I should have kissed that foot longer, or walked around 109 times the statue, or something. More. But in fact, a failed system is a failed system is a failed system. Yeah. And what many of us are relying on is a failed system, self-centeredness, truly. And what is that system centered on? It says it in the title, self-centeredness. It doesn't say other-centered, universally centered, heart-centered, compassion-centered. It's self-centered. So if you're looking through these glasses, those glasses translate everything as how it pertains to you, the you that you're not. Yeah. How are you going to get out of that? So people see the reason why we don't get self, can't get ourself. We believe it's Paul getting out of self, but Paul is basically self. Yeah. It's basically self. And unbeknownst to what we are, and we're not Paul. Paul, it's going to be unbeknownst to Paul forever. Paul does not believe itself, all the while being self. And you better not, you can waste a lot of time trying to convince Paul that it's not self or or it is self. It just doesn't work. I humbly believe just because you've been looking from one place for a long time doesn't mean that's the only place to look from. I believe there is a whole lot of before where you can be in a centered state, not a self-centered state, because the self-centered state is produced, it's manufactured. I believe there's a centered state that isn't. And I believe it's before the manufacturing. And therefore, and I believe you are always here, you just don't think so. Yeah. So from this centered place, it sees the manufacturing of self. It sees it. You become aware of that which you used to look from. And you realize, wow, all the meaning to everything I've ever looked at came from where I was looking at it from. Yeah. So I've been living and going through a world of a mental interpretation, and basically just being rehashed, rethought, refelt, and on, redoing, almost as if it made a journey and it keeps says you're going this way, but you're really just going around the same thing over and over and over again. It tells you it's straight and you're going forward, but you're really not. So suddenly you see self-centeredness. You see it. Yeah. And you see it's held in place, that it does not root. That's not your natural point. It's held in place by a lot of remembering, the narrative of the head constantly, the mental processes are churning out this identification as self. Yeah. Just streaming it constantly. Yeah. Everything that you seemingly do, it uses to imply you're the doer. Everything you seemingly hear, and most of the stuff you hear, it goes unnoticed most of the day. It really emphasizes certain things. You hear these beautiful birds singing, but if someone's talking and it's about you, fuck the birds, it's about me. That's the real song that you're listening to, truly. Yeah. So, uh, so this had a big impact on me ever since. Now I'm 37 years. I've been living sober in this time frame, and that was 30 years ago. And I humbly believe that was like a meat tenderizer to have me in a position to really, when the salt shaker of non-duality was over me, the salt got in. It's just so when I finally got introduced to non-duality, which is maybe 97 or something, I already knew, and we all do. There's a knowing in all of us that's before you get to know. Yeah. What you get to know is already knowing. Yeah. You're not acquiring anything or bringing anything in. You're just seeing, there's just what without knowing a lot of stuff, all that you were really looking for was you were standing in, really. Yeah. And that's what happens when the eye is taken off, the single eye is taken off the ball of duality about you, then it's not more seeing, but it's seeing more. You see a whole lot more. Yeah. More is much more is revealed. Yeah. This is not like, oh, you start at dog shit awareness, then you get to 88% pure awareness, then you get the radical awareness, then no, that would be more seeing. There's no more seeing, it's seeing more. You are awareness, flat. There's no super radical awareness that someone else is. There's just seeing less or seeing more. Yeah. Now, if you're up the ass of self, you're seeing more of that, but a whole lot less of a lot of stuff. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. And it's nice to be seeing that you're awake, uh, besides what other surface conditions are occurring. In other words, the conditions that are happening on the surface don't change the ordinary all the time condition of awakeness. We're awake. All of us are. Yeah. To many people, it's the worst bane. They're trying to be out to lunch constantly. But awakeness. Yeah. Now you can seem to be awake to that here, or you can seem to be asleep to that here. It doesn't change the fact that there's awakeness. Yeah. So if you lose interest, it'll become obvious. If you try to make it obvious with a lot of interest, you'll be blind, constantly blind. But when you lose interest in the whole kit and caboodle, this stuff will become obvious to you. Like Zen, blue will be blue and red will be red. You know, it's like, wow, I made a great red. No, blue will be blue, red will be red. Yeah. So get back to this. Is all right? You getting it somewhat? Yeah. So he goes, okay, first, we being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. And the common manifestations that are looked at in the big book of AA, in the inventory, is resentment, fear, and harm done to others in the pursuit of what you want. Yes? So by looking at them, hopefully you'll see by looking at them, you'll see those manifestations are not yours. They're from something else that seems to be in you, yeah, or has taken you over. Finally, because if if you don't see it as foreign to you, the only possibility is trying to be free as it, and that's not going to work. The freedom is about from it. Yeah. And to have freedom from something, you can't be it. Yeah. If you keep listening to the head's act of being identified as self, all you're going to do is try to be free as it. And that can go on, look what happens. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars of spirituality. And you could basically describe the whole event of self trying to get out of self. Yeah. This is a different move because it's no move. You see that which feels like it needs liberation as not you, and so you are liberated from the need to be liberated. That's really what it is in here anyway. I've been liberated from the need to be liberated. I do not believe. Yeah, yeah. So this was pretty powerful for me in a way, and I wanted to go to this page where they talk about this because they're bending over backwards to give us a sense, and the non-duality is the same thing in a way. Yeah. But non-duality is more directed to the absoluteness of things than the action figure. Recovery is targeting the action figure traveling a little lighter. And even to the action figure, it has to see it's not something. Yeah. So the us. So here they try to describe it here. Okay. So they say the first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Yeah. Doesn't say any alcoholic life, it's just any life. Yeah. On that basis, what basis? Self-centeredness. What is self-centeredness? It's based just like the Course in Miracles. The brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. That's it. The self-centeredness is body-centered, mistaking the thing, the body, to be that which is existing. So the non-existent thing is never seen as that until the day of your death, and you're the last one to see it, really. Everyone else sees the non-existent thing, but you're already gone as the existence. Yeah. Yeah. So here, self-will can hardly be a success. We are almost, on that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody. Yes. Because the head is a failed system, and the head will not admit that. So it has a lot of excuses for its all failures. It has a lot of blame for its failures, and it has a lot of rationalizations of its failures. So let's say if I had a furniture store and we advertised a couch, which we had in our store, and we took pictures of it, and a person bought the couch based on how it looked, and they called and ordered, yes, I would not say, well, I would make an appointment where we would deliver it and they would pay the money, and there would be no need for excuses, rationale, or blame because I deliver the goods. Yeah. Now, if I didn't, I'd have to come up with excuses, rationals, and blame. Sounds like the head. Yeah. So the head being inherently failed and not able to admit that just makes a lot of excuses, rationales, and blames a whole lot of fucking things. Inevitably you, but by the time it gets to you, it's blamed a whole lot of other things. Yes. And you would think that it would come to a day where it would admit, but it will not. It's a program. And its program it's like when I was out there, I was living with this lady, Kay, and I took the silverware that was Kay's from her grandmother and I sold it for like a half a gram of Coke. Yeah. Now, unbeknownst to me, Kay talked to the dealer that I sold it to. So she knew I had stolen her grandmother's silverware, but I would not fucking admit it. And for months, knowing that I did, she would say, Paul, you sure you? No, I did not take it. And I just was not going to give up the ghost. Yeah. And then finally she said, Paul, I talked to Stan. He told me you were there that night 2 months ago and with the silverware. So I've known this whole freaking time that you stole it. I just wanted to see how long this would go on. And it went on fucking pretty long. Yeah. So these aren't like, this isn't Armando's character. It's the character that the idea of Armando rests on. Yeah. Armando is not what has failed. Armando is like the emblem of the car on the hood. Armando is not it's not the V8, it's nothing. It's just the name. When you see the car, you call it Armando. Yeah. Yeah. But in fact, Armando is not what has failed. It's fucking the driver of the car, literally. And in recovery, we have only two drivers. It's either self or the infinite. So it's either there's faith in this finite self or there's faith in the infinite. And that would be the emptiness of non-duality, really. Yeah, it would be. So basically, I think if there was a prep school for non-duality, it's probably recovery. I do. I think it goes a long way because all the extracurricular thing was the curriculum of like a spiritual school. You learned all this shit. Yeah. And you didn't die. And then now they say, hey, you're not that fucking great. Yeah, I'm all for it. I truly believe it. And I do. So, so here they decide with great compassion, I feel. So you always are in collision with something or somebody because everyone in the bumper car thinks they're the bumper car. So they're all running into each other with basically the same attitude and outlook. Yeah, self-centeredness. Mostly it is. So most people try to live by this propulsion, self-propulsion. Each person, now this is the truth. See, now non-duality would take it a step back and the person would be negated. But in this case, this is a baby step. Recovery, the actor gets negated, which is awesome. So it says each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. Yeah. So it sounds like they're not saying actors, they're saying all these people that are under the affliction of addiction are being represented by one actor. Let's call it the embodiment of alcoholism or the embodiment of addiction. Yeah. Now, all the unique features of the body get overridden by the commonality of what took it over. So you don't see Rich as a half decent looking guy, you see him as an alcoholic. You recognize, yes? Something is much more dominant than his features or his smile or something like that. Yes? So that body gets embodied by this foreign thing, addiction. And it uses the body called Armando or Paul to express itself however it likes to. And you know what? It doesn't have infinite ways of expressing itself. It's very limited traits that it has, so that if you see one, you see them all. So you can recognize someone who's been taken over by the same thing that took you over. Yeah. There's there are common traits that you know that they're fucked. Yeah. Yeah. So here, each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show. He goes on and on. If only people would do as he wished, of course, the show would be great. But it wasn't, and it won't. When you get your way, that ain't the way. Yeah. The show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Of course. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, this is what got me, because when I came into addiction, I had a very black and white idea of good and bad. So I had a vague idea, a nice, actually, a pretty defined thing, what behaviors were bad and what behaviors were good. And most of the ones that were good were in my past. And the ones that were bad were right contemporary. So, so I was hoping to maybe exhibit some of the old ones and stop exhibiting, yeah, the bad ones. But here he says something that really flipped me out. So everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor, it's not saying us. It's not saying Paul and Armando. It's saying the actor that's representing Paul and Armando. Yeah, it's very important distinction. So in trying to make these arrangements, our actor, so our is could mean millions of people, the actor is singular, yes? It's not our actors. They're all different and unique. No, there's one actor taking over these like a millions of possibilities and using that possibility to express itself. Yeah. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. So this is where it got me. He may be kind, considerate, patient. I thought if I'm kind, considerate, and patient, hey, I'm on the good side. Yeah. But no, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. Yeah. But he goes on and says they're both self-centered. So you're doing the virtuous and being kind as a transactional move. You're expecting a result. And when you don't get the result, you get vindictive and fucking angry. Yeah. So wait a minute. So there's a whole other going on, a whole other subjectiveness of this place that you can't say this is good or bad because it's basically the feeling before it. Yeah. And what is that? Are you occupied or hopefully are you empty? Yeah. So he goes off and he goes, what usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. Yeah. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. Gets this is you start getting down the chronic grievance starts getting set up. He decides to exert himself more. You see? This is a delusion that the head has. When it sees its managing has failed, it just tries to manage more. Yeah, just like, and you can see it. You go to retreats. When you go home, the effect doesn't seem to last as long as you want. So what's your answer? More retreats. Yeah, maybe there was another answer there. Yeah, so he goes, he decides to exert himself more. You don't decide, the actor decides or thinks. You are the audience, unblemished by whatever dirt is being thrown on the stage. Yeah. But without the audience, there's no play. Yeah. So he decides to exert himself more. He is meaning the actor. You and I are just there, being the awareness, the fuel of faith, everything. And the actor is sort of the driver of what we represent. And so now we're being driven by the actor. And the actor loves to go to certain places. And when you arrive there, you get all the shame and guilt for all the driving to get to that place with this self-centeredness. You believe you're the creator or the maker of your own demise. That's fucking insane. That's an insane attitude to have. That you and you alone are the source of your demise. That's insane. What usually, all right, so he becomes on the next occasion still more demanding or gracious. Yeah. So, as the case may be, still the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. Now, this is a very, very sharp thumb sticking out in addicts, but self-centeredness vaguely it does the same thing all the time. But in addiction and recovery, it really stands out. This idea that, oh yeah, okay, maybe I had something to do with it, but you had much more to do with it than I did. The victim constantly. You can see it in our world now. Yeah, the victimhood is what's giving all these people this idea they have license to do tons of shit. Yeah. Uh, he is sure that other people are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. None of us, we're not doing any of this. We are aware of it. We're not aware of it, unfortunately. But right now, let's say we are aware of it, and it is the actor. It's not actor. Oh, wait, no. Actor. What does that mean? You're not the actor. The more you learn about the actor, the more there's a sense of not being the actor. Yeah. And this is the beauty of it. Yeah. This is the beauty of how mind, big M mind, uses where it's in, which is duality, to pull a fast one. So you get a sense of what you are by seeing what you're not. The head has, by seeing what you're not, you're going to be completely stabilized in what you're not. But no, the grace of non-duality, the same thing, the seeing of what you're not is actually triggering the sense of what you are, because you are the awareness of what you're not. So it doesn't change anything. It just emphasizes it differently. The head wants you to look at what you're not all day. Yeah, with the idea you're that. Now we look at it and it's the idea is different. We're not that. Yeah. All right. So he becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker, even when trying to be kind? Pretty good. Yeah. Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? It is not evident to all the, is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate? Yeah, because they're all bumper cars. Oh, that one motherfucker bumper car is trying to get out of it. Oh, what do? Bump into them. And do this and make each of them want to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show. So breeding more selfishness and greed and shit like that. Yeah. Is he not? Never, this is not a description of you or me. It's a description of an actor. Something that's representing us, seemingly. Yeah. Is he not even in his best moments a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Wow. Pretty incredible, eh? So he says here simply, our actor is self-centered, egocentric. Wow, I'm self-centered and egocentric. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. Our actor is self-centered and egocentric. So it sounds like me. Oh, yeah. And it sounds like you, but it ain't you. Fantastic. Yeah. 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 So what I feel, and this was where I first was moved, relief from the actor. Yeah. And it was pretty broad. But what non-dualities uh, showed was there's two actors in the show. Yeah. I only saw the one actor, but that which is now saying it sees the one actor is an actor also. Yeah. So only seeing the one actor, there was some relief, stuff like that, but there was still that angst and always there. But when I saw what I'm not, and then that claiming of being the seer of what I'm not, yeah. When I saw the not two, that really stabilized a lot of stuff. The first one of just seeing the not one didn't do it for me. Yeah, it was promoting more seeking and more this and more that because I wanted to get more distance from that which I was seeing I'm not, but I didn't know that had been claimed, and I was trying to get distance from that self as a self. Yeah, and this is non-duality. This was an exactly tailored message for that dilemma of having a separation from whatever you are with the actor, yeah, and not recognizing the actor is like a two-faced. It's now the actor trying to get out of the actor, yeah. So one wasn't sufficient, and non-duality showed up and explained why, and then explained why your spiritual practices are reinforcing, let's say, the second actor. How can they destroy it? Yeah. So non-duality is, in a way, AA is not one. Yeah. You're not the addict, you're not the alcoholic, you're not the self. But in this world, uh, we need a not two. Not one's probably not going to work. Yeah. Not two worked in this case because I haven't looked for anything since. Yeah. I did not believe that I'm out of the moment and I can get in. I don't believe you can ever be out of a moment. Yeah, that moment you're in, you may want to get out, but you can't you're not out of a moment. Yeah, yeah. And all this stuff just fell into place and there's not a yearly debate or a quarterly review. It just put a lot to sleep, and that was it. So, yeah, recovery did not do that. Recovery really brought about another opportunity for the action figure to go a different way. And I'm incredibly grateful for that because the loudness of the action figure, I wouldn't have heard anything. Yeah. For that to work. But really, non-duality was like the coup de grace, really, because it, I got the understanding of the, the two. Yeah. Not just the one, but the two. Yeah. And it's really not two. That's what non-duality is. It's the recognition of not two. If you have a recognition of not one, it may go somewhere, but it's probably you're still going to be wondering why things are constantly being agitated and searching and stuff because the emphasis on the actor moved to the other actor. Yeah. It can cast a shadow, so to speak, while it's just you without you knowing it. Ah, fucking. But when you start seeing it, it casts another one. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for, yeah, thank you for putting up with this riff. I feel such a continuity with recovery because when you're under the influence of recovery, things like this happen. You are placed in a position of neutrality. You understand the word serenity and no peace. You have a new attitude and a new outlook, a new happiness, a new freedom. The problem will not exist for you anymore. It will be like it will be a miracle with no thought effort on your part. And there's no thought effort to maintain it either, I don't feel. Yeah. So when you're in recovery, the gold in the solution gets more and more gold, like really high carat fucking yeah. Right in the beginning, it's mixed with the problem, but as you go on, the solution gets more dominant, and then you get pure solution in a way which is awesome, which demands no thought or effort on your part. That's pretty good. And to have a condition that the problem does not exist for you after that thing existing as you for all those fucking years is the chef's kiss in this world. To me, that's worthy of the term solution to me, really. Recovery taught me the difference between solutions and solutions. Yeah, yeah. AA has brought about because I don't see non-duality being anything different. It was just the same tree at a different part of the growth, really. Yes, that's all. I thought in here it seemed like non-duality came after, but really it's always before. But yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll open up, I guess, now. I went on the whole day. It's good. My contract says I have 6 more minutes left. Let's stare absently. You'll come to the conclusion it was a loving gaze. No, it's gazing absently. You would love yourself to have a loving gaze, wouldn't you? But it's just gazing absently. There's no one in there, loving or not. Really, you're an empty husk. You're more useful that way.
Paul,
Yeah.
Craig has his hand up.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Come on in, Craig.
What does that mean? He has his hand up. All right. I have my hand. All right, Craig, come on.
Hi, Paul. It says my video is disabled.
You what?
It says
Oh,
the
your
host
video
type.
is disabled?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Just
all
a quick question. See when you're talking about the actor, when it
Yes.
says as long as he is he not a victim of delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? Manages what well?
Yes, that's a aberration of the program. Yes.
But
That's not going to be corrected by the program.
what's what's he trying to manage well?
Life,
Yeah.
microscopic and macroscopic,
Right. I sorry, I can see now.
subjective and objective. It's trying to manage and control. Yeah. Because it doesn't like and it likes
Hmm.
and it wants one instead of the other. And that's not how life goes. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it reads into things as that's not for me, or that's not going to be beneficial for me, and never gives it enough time to show itself to be what it is. So something is playing God in most people's head.
Hmm.
So it says, I know this ain't going to work. How do you know it? You haven't tried it. No, I know it's not going to work. All this kind of stuff. Yes. And then when it doesn't work, it can blame whatever and on and on. I mean, if you've heard one head, you've heard them all. It's just really, it's the different languages that seem to make it different, but really the head itself is based on a myopic view. Uh, and it's programmed. It's not like AI. It's not going to grow into a recognition of shit. It isn't.
Hmm.
Yeah. This is what you stop relying on that, not because it's screwing with you or anything, it's just unreliable. Like I have a truck, and for a long journey, it may be unreliable. Yeah, because first of all, Amelia, it makes a lot of noise, like an old Jeep, and I can see us driving to LA. And so in some levels, there's a suspicion that it could be unreliable. So do I want to really find out and have it break down and on Highway 5 and near fucking Paso Robles? No. So we're gonna take another car
Hmm.
probably. Yes? Yeah. So the head would say, forget about it, and then it leads you to keep doing shit, expecting different results,
Hmm.
which is insanity.
Where does where does the self-seeking come from? Why,
Who knows?
like,
Where everything else comes from. Nothing. Yeah.
I was at a meeting and the guy was talking about how it was be self-seeking even when trying to be kind. So
Yeah.
it was vacuuming his wife's house. He was vacuuming his home, hoovering his house, and nobody was paying attention to him. So he threw the hoover down the stairs to to get attention because he wanted validation for this deed he was doing. Look at me, I'm vacuuming my home. I wanted validation and my wife to notice how good I was at cleaning. And it was just like, it's insane the lengths we go to get noticed and attention. It's
Yes. Yeah.
why is that? Like, I used to think I used to hate attention, but then since I've come in recovery, you realise your whole life you've loved it.
Well, it's an agitation. So it's like in Tibetan Buddhism, they have an image of a hungry ghost, and that image is this guy, this thing with a very small mouth but a huge belly. So it's constantly trying to get enough, but it's what's the mouth is too small, and it's never going to seem to be enough. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is the head. The head is agitated, and it whips itself up into agitation. It can't stop the head. It can be paused by things, events, and stuff like that, but it doesn't really have its own stopping. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's all. And agitation begets agitation. And if you look at Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, the first is that there is suffering, and they've have different words for it. So it's not like suffering, it's a malaise or a discontentment or vague, just not rightness. Yeah. So he says, and what's the cause of that is desire. Yep. And so what is the desire? What would be the first desire? I feel the first desire is the head's desire to become and unbecome. It wants to become shit that it doesn't believe it is, and it wants to unbecome stuff that it believes it is. And it's that agitation finds no rest. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because where it thinks, if I get there, everything's going to be okay. When it gets there, everything isn't okay. And it has to move and get somewhere and just goes on and on. And the failedness, not addressed, just promotes more failedness. And what comes with that is denial, having to ignore and deflect and not pay attention, because these aberrations become elephants in the room. Yeah.
Mhm.
So people are irritable, restless, and discontent, and they're seeking relief. And they get introduced to beer, like I got introduced to beer, and a lousy one at that. Budweiser. I have a bad thing about Budweiser, but Budweiser. And in hindsight, my drinking was my first solution to alcoholism. I wanted to get relief from this fucking head that was gnawing away like a chipmunk eating a piece of wood, just on or a beaver, and not putting it to any use like a dam, just going da, 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 da. And so I wanted to get relief from that. Beer seemed to work. Yeah, what happened? I wanted more relief from that. Beer seemed not to work.
So
I need
somebody
faster drugs.
I told somebody that.
Just
So
in that. Yeah.
I told somebody how you can suffer from alcoholism as a child, and they thought that was kind of like unrealistic to say that.
Of course, alcoholism is just extreme self-centeredness.
Self-centeredness, yeah.
Yeah, so self-centeredness is the basis of everything here, everyone seeming action figure, and some are more extreme than others. And when it's extreme, it has certain patterns that it expresses itself as, and those are addictions. It seeks relief, which is all cool. Who wouldn't? What wouldn't? But how it seeks relief becomes a bigger problem in a sense, or extenuates the problem. Yeah. So the addiction doesn't solve the inherent problem. So then it moves to another. Yeah. On and on. Yeah. And because the real addiction is the mental addiction to the idea of self, as they call it in Buddhism, the cherishing of self. The head is in a state of cherishing this idea of being a noun at the expense of really feeling the sense of verbing. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why or how, but and I don't really care, actually. I want relief from it. And this has brought great relief. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for answering, Paul. Love your jacket, by the way.
Love the jacket. Yes.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's
Italian.
cool.
An Italian.
Yeah. But thank you again for answering my question. I'll let somebody else come in. Okay. Thanks again, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, we got Kathy from Cleveland.
All right, Kathy.
Morning, Kathy.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm here.
Hi. Yes, your jacket looks very, I don't know, professorial or something. I can't
Don't
see
let
it
that fool
close.
you, please. If I could fool people with a jacket, I better get some more. Yeah. Thank you.
I put this in the chat because it was a phrase that my dad had on his computer, and it was often wrong, but seldom in doubt. And I never quite understood why he had that there. And, you know, when you were talking Thursday, you also talked about the actor. And when you got to that line that says, you know, he, where is it? Oh, admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. And
Right.
that made me think of that. Like,
Well,
I'm often wrong, but I'm seldom in doubt that I'm wrong.
Yes, because the programming is sure.
Right.
without any,
When I'm identifying as the actor.
as the actor, yes.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
there's a reliance on the program, that is the projecting of the actor. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Of course, and it has certain programs that they're not. It's not AI. It's not like it's growing out. So it can be so wrong, but it's right.
Yeah.
When it's
Yeah.
pointed out, it just scoffs and still thinks it's right. Yeah. So, uh,
And then I get that victim mentality out of being, you know, that everybody else is wrong.
yeah, they had once it gets started, it's a song. This is why there's a beautiful word, abstinence. That doesn't just mean things. You abstain from things, unless things are inside. So when the head's just fueling up and trying to rev up, and if there's no interest there, it doesn't, the engine doesn't turn over and you don't go on a ride. Seriously. Yeah.
Mm,
It's like our solution in AA is, I believe, is not starting. Yeah. So
right.
all the ways to stop and why I should stop and all this, I have no need of it. I just don't start. I don't start drinking and using. And I really don't start thinking often. I don't.
Right.
Thoughts don't come and then they get me to start thinking. Mostly. Especially, I will get thoughts that tell me thinking about, hey, there's a sale at the thrift store, things like that. But when it starts pontificating about the the cause of all life, it's shut off completely. It's like, as long as like, you remember the radio thing with two guys about cars? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Car talk.
When car talk is coming down, I'll listen. But when it becomes philosophical inquiry, fuck it.
I loved car talk.
That's off, that's off my app screen. Whatever. But I like car talk. I like things like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think it's starting to land here. I think. So I'll keep
Already
coming.
has, honey. It's just embarking when it likes. It's already landed.
Okay.
Yeah. And you get the joy of seeing what embarks, what comes or what comes out, what doesn't come out. Yeah, it's already landed.
Okay.
Yeah. You never gone anywhere to have to get back.
I
It's just,
didn't take off, so I don't need to land.
you could see a life of hands moving like this, but they never left the arm. Yeah.
Right.
They're like going like this. All you see is like the hands. Wow. But then if there's more seeing, you see the arms. They're still there. The arms aren't moving much. It's just, yes. It's very, the earth isn't getting moved by any emotion that you're having.
Mhm.
Oh, this is this is an arrogance of proportion. Our plans are not that big, and designs are not that big. As it says in AA, it says, you will lose interest in self and your little plans and designs.
Our
Now,
little designs, yeah.
when you're into you, what plans are little? They're all
Right.
big.
Right. They're huge because they're mine.
And when someone threatens your big plan, then you get upset and then, yeah, I may be a little bit at fault, but it's you.
Right, right.
All of
All
that's
right. Well, thank you. Thank you.
yeah. And it may still happen, but now you see it. And if you see it, what's a tragedy on the stage may be a comedy in the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to have to play roles. In one way, one of the roles is the actor. Hopefully, the dominant role is the audience. Yeah. So you can sort of laugh at what you used to take very seriously. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. All right, we have Matt.
Yeah, Matt and then Gary. Matt
and-
asked through the chat. Go ahead, Matt. Unmute, buddy.
Yeah,
Hit the button. There you go.
thanks, John. Thanks for anybody who's, doing service for this. It's it's a blessing. It's for all of us, and I'm really thankful. Hey, the car talk, man. I was screwing around Northern Cali for a couple of weeks, and one of those guys is still around. I guess the other guy might have passed, but you can still catch it on NPR. Paul, I think what sticks with me most, from my visit, I was playing a lot of tennis. I went out, guys, to Novato, and I had a fantastic time. Got my my stay was initially 6 nights, and I got it extended to 2 weeks, and played a lot of tennis in Mill Valley, and there was a guy early on I played with. I'm not very good. I sort of suck, but I enjoy it. My kids are into it. I want to have some fun, and I'm playing with this guy, and I got back to Paul's place, and my head was doing a number on me, like, oh, this is a famous guy, and I want to find out who he is, and he mentioned his wife, and and I said it to Paul. I said, what do you make of this? And he said one word. He said, why? And it just sort of hit it on the head for everything, man. When Paul recognized early on, I've been doing this for about 6 months. I came back into recovery, yet again, and he's constantly pointed me, first things first. Went to a lot of AA meetings out there too, and if I can do that, right, if I can put this thing first. I did my Zoom meeting with my sponsor, my men's group back home here in Chicago, and I did that every night. And if I keep this thing first, then more shall be revealed. And
Yes.
yeah, man.
Yes. Great, bro. Yeah. First things first.
That's it.
The action figure. Yes.
Yeah,
It's if this isn't something, if it's that you can ignore or deny its activity, it's going to overwhelm. It's going to bleed into everything else. It's not going to stay in its little corner. It likes to grow. Yeah. So great, bro. It's nice to meet you. And yeah, we'll see each other again. And let's go to Gary Clark.
Come on in, Gary. Unmute, bud. There you go.
Is it working?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Paul, and thanks for taking my question. I noticed recently, I was just driving home today, I sort of had this insight of, it's like, like the self head box is sort of always chattering on, and there's like this, almost like going to check every few seconds, like, well, is it still doing its thing, or is it safe to, go back and use it for philosophy? I like philosophy, but it's always, every time there's a checking, it's like, now it's still screwy. I just wondered if you had any sort of comment about that, sort of noticing that, oh yeah, the chatter's still going on, it's still screwy. But going back to check back every so often just to see if it's still crazy after all these years.
Well, I think you'll be brought to a conclusion that it is, and you'll lose interest in checking in. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Yeah, you will. So you'll forget to check in, and when you get back, it's still crazy. It's just finally sort of get it. Yeah. Hey, it's crazy. There's a beautiful statement in the Course of Miracles where they're talking about what can a failed system show you? And I'd added, it's failed. That's the point. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So going back and checking in and seeing if the system is still crazy and see it is, I can save you a lot of time. It's still crazy. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Don't move on. Yeah. So I believe being convinced, and I believe there can be end of things. I do. While we're living, I think a lot of stuff that we thought would never end can end, which would be uh your hope that somehow it's going to get better. Just it's a dead horse. Even though you bought that saddle for Christmas and you want it to because you spent a lot of money for that saddle, it's a dead horse. Give the saddle to something else. I don't think the head is crazy on some points. I don't like it. Like Ramesh was a very compassionate person in a lot of ways, Ramesh Balsekar. And he would try to explain things to make it as easy as possible. And he would talk about the working mind and then the psychological mind. Yeah. The working mind has a role and it's quite good at it at times. But when it moves into the psychological aspect, then you just rather, yeah, yes. So he would, yeah, yeah. And there's a discernment, and if you don't have it today, there's a possibility you will tonight. Yeah, you'll discern it, and then certain things are brought to conclusions. Right? I remember I had this story I used to use a lot, and it gets this point across. All right, so you have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
So when I was young, 12 years old, 11, 12, and you start, the idea of girls started to occupy your thing. And there was a mall in Long Island called Roosevelt Fields. And I had a certain ensemble that I had gotten together, which was these cool red corduroy pants and a gray long sleeve t-shirt, and my hair was going out, and there was ample windows to play the role of mirror all day. So I take the bus to the to the shopping center, and I strut my stuff, and I was getting a lot of looks. So I was thinking it was working, and I'm walking around looking at things. Next week I'd have the same outfit with the red cords, the gray long sleeve, and there I went to Roosevelt Field. A lot of looks, like people get from what, YouTube or TikTok. I was getting a lot of looks, so it was working. So then a couple of months into this, a friend of mine had some mercy on me. And he said, Paul, you know that outfit you wear when you go to the shopping mall? I go, yeah. You mean those red cords and that long sleeve gray? He says, yeah. Those red cords are magenta, and that gray shirt's pink. Right. And I'm colorblind, obviously. And once, as soon as he told me they were magenta and pink, I never saw them as red and gray again. Yeah. A month later, I didn't look in the closet and see if they turned back. No, I got it. They're fucking pink and magenta. That's why everyone was looking at me strutting around the street. So it was a one-off, bammo. That's it. I actually never put that shirt back on or pants. But if I did, I would be putting them on knowing they were pink and magenta. Yeah. So this is sort of like things coming to conclusions in your head. Yeah. And you'll probably have many of them, really. Thing that would, I always revisit it. You may not. You may not revisit a lot of shit. I'm serious. You may not revisit a lot of stuff. You just may not. Yeah, it's almost like a childlike stupidity in a sense. It's a very alert and awake, but it's sort of doesn't give a shit about the content of the head. Yeah, yeah. So, is that all right, Gary?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So if you go, let's say 30 times a week and it's still crazy, you can probably imagine that would be 360 times a year or something. So just save all that time and math and it's still crazy. Still crazy after all these years. Yes. Yes.
That's a good Christmas message, I think.
Oh, good, good. All right,
Don't
anyone
have
else?
to.
Or I'm gonna start saying goodbye.
Yeah, Paul, you got one more hand.
Oh,
Elisa,
Lisa.
Elisa, unmute Elisa. There you go.
Well, so I have been so stressed. I'm not remembering stuff. I can't keep my schedule straight. It's really has not been fun, and I'm just plugging along, and it's not helping because I look at my calendar and go, "Crap, I missed it," and then I beat me up about that, and you know how that can be. So, anyway, so I saw the calendar. I thought, "Oh, I'm late." And I thought, really, do you really have to be? Nobody cares about you that much. Just go. And funny, but not funny that you're reading that thing. So, my daughter took her car carefully. She paid for a car. She let me drive it. The loan got paid off. Her car blew up. She needed the car, but I'm trapped because I have like life-threatening allergies and all kind of stuff. So in my head, I'm going, "Oh, I'm trapped. I might as well just die." And I'm not suicidal. That's not a funny joke, but that's where my mind goes all the way to the extreme of the thing. And I keep going, well, just, I made pumpkin pie today. That was nice. I'm doing a puzzle. Everything's great. I have everything I need. It's awesome. And then my head says, no, I have to worry. Um, and it didn't occur to me till I came in late and followed the nudge and listened to you reading that particular portion because I heard that slightly in a different way. It's like I'm watching that crazy person and going,
Yeah. Yes, please.
I'm supposed to respond to that. I'm supposed to take care of it. No, I
Get in
can
the habit of looking at it that way.
Yeah, it's just there and I don't have to respond to it. And yes, I may have trouble, but right now I'm not having that trouble.
You even need that after part.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
see that it's an actor. And then instead of jumping in and putting in an after note, let something else tell you what's going on. It may be different than what you say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But anyway, it gave me a new perspective and it was helpful. And thanks for showing up here the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, you're welcome, man. We're like the mailman. Rain, sleet, shine, holiday. What the hell? All right. Well, I'm gonna just start saying goodbye. Thank you, honey. Yes. Read that part. It's a very it when people get together and read it, it may not be clear, but it's a very clear statement. There's one actor representing thousands of us. That actor is egotistical, selfish. Why is it that you are egotistical, selfish? You must be taking yourself to be the actor. It's already gave the ownership of that condition, which is the actor. Why are you owning it? Yeah, it's just nice to tweak this thing up. You got to tweak it every once in a while because you're gonna get murdered nonchalantly by the head. Yes, it's gonna pour over you. Yeah, sometimes you got to just stick your head up and enough's enough. Yeah. All right. Stephen R., nice to see you, my friend, today. Richard, I saw Etta there too, Richard. Yeah. Nice to see both of you, bro. Keith G. Yes. Kathy in Cleveland. We've got Chris B, Chris H, Robert Bramble. Wow, Robert, nice to see you, bro. We were just with each other Thanksgiving. Annette, Shiva, Vlad, my main man, Portugal. Nice to see you. Gary Clark, Placerville, John S. in Florida. There's Zoe. Hey, Zoe. Nice to see you, hon. Yeah. Very nice. We got Rob Helmer. Rob Helmer. That's how they'd say it in the Bronx. Rod Helmer. Craig, nice to see you, bro. Robert Mueller. Kathleen. Hey, Kathleen, nice to see you. How's Hudson Valley? Good? Wow. John Adams. John Adams. Isn't there a beer named John Adams? What is that?
Sam.
Hmm?
Sam.
Oh, Sam Adams. Yeah. All right. Annette. Oh, I got Annette already. Roman Mueller. Yes. He's very intimate with the radiator right now. Yeah. David Lowe. Nice to see you, David. Hey, it's a pleasure to spend time with all of you, especially with a little distance. Works really good. I got to get rid of all these characters here. We got some dogs, cats. Yeah. Hey, thank you all so much. Really. And I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you both.
Take care.
Take care.